People who give job interviews. What are some subtle red flags that say this person won't be a good hire? 1. I once interviewed someone who told me she technically wasn't allowed to be in the building because someone on another floor had a restraining order against her. 2. I once had a guy show up late with blood all over his face and clothes, looking disheveled. Typically, I don't waste my time with people who can't even make it to their interview on time. But this guy said he was in a car accident on his way to the interview and got there as soon as possible. After the interview he asked if there was any way he could get a ride back to where his car was. Believing his story, I offered him the ride. This man's car was nearly 5 miles away, legitimately crashed, and it turns out someone had broken into his car and stolen his child's car seat and his stereo system during the couple hours he was gone. I hired him. He turned out to be difficult to work with, but he was a programming genius. Kept him for years before he moved on. I don't hire liars. This guy wasn't one. 3. When asked about their experience with a topic, they tend to recite textbook definitions rather than demonstrate any understanding of how to apply them. We had one person who literally forwarded our questions into ChatGPT and then recited rambling answers that provided definitions of keywords in our questions rather than actually answering the question. For example, we'd ask, what's something a previous employer or educator has recognized you for? And they'd answer, examples of things that an employer might recognize an employee for are. 4. The candidate submitted a take-home test by email. They forgot to excise the text of the email reply chain with their buddy in which, if you scrolled far enough, you could see, A, their buddy helped them with the test and B, the two of them weighing up the finer points of a drug deal they were participating in. 5. Was giving an interview, 20 minutes long. The lady being interviewed asked if she could go outside and smoke a cigarette. 6. My favorite story about red flags was when I screened resumes for a restaurant. A couple walked in dirty, disheveled, and reeking of weed and asked for applications. They popped into the bar to fill them out, and the woman said, babe, what's my zip code? I'm so high right now. Then, about 5 minutes later, as they're handing the applications to me, the guy goes, hey, are we getting interviewed now? I got kids in the car. The woman interrupted, they're fine, they're in car seats. I was horrified. It was January. I ran the papers to the owner in her office and repeated both comments. She looks outside, jots down the plate number, and calls the local cops. When the cops arrived, the two tried to get free beers from the bar manager. I don't know what happened from there. When I clocked out, the cops had them outside, and CPS was involved. So yeah. Don't come to apply for a job / have an interview high, smelling, and begging for booze while your toddlers wait in the car in the cold. 7. Interviewed this lady, and she brought up how she had an issue with an old coworker, and at the end of it, she said the coworker died of cancer. Of course, I said, oh, I'm sorry, or something similar, and she responded, she got what she deserved. Yeah, no, thank you. 8. I'm sorry I'm late for the interview. It took a bit longer at Starbucks than I'm used to. 9. I had a dude just straight up say he doesn't like black people during his interview. 10. Showing up to the interview with a parent in tow. I've had this happen twice, and I refused to go through with the interview. Grow up, people. You don't need mommy or daddy at your professional job interview.